Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Full-Time Live with Fulhamish, and we are here to celebrate a brilliant 1-0 win over Liverpool at Anfield. My name is Jack Collins, and I'm joined by Lydia Campbell.
Hello, how's it going?
Not too bad, Liz. Not too bad. I'm Farrell Monk.
Hello, everyone. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
That's how it feels, isn't it? Those last 20 minutes were stressful, Liz, to say the least.
Oh, do you know what? I feel like, and he changed the tactics as well. Like, just kind of sit back a little bit, and I'm like, no, what are you doing? Like, don't. We're not good in this position. And then the ref playing like 1,000,000 minutes of injury time, and it's just like, oh,
what was going on?
I know. I was like, I don't even know where 4 came from. And then, as I say, like, he just kept adding minutes. I'm like, what's happening? Like, you're giving me an absolute corner here. But yeah, like we did it.
All I could think about was go back to Thursday when Spurs win a free kick, and they take a minute to take it, and then he blows up as soon as they take that free kick. And then today, like, he adds an extra 2 minutes on, even though there was, it baffles my mind. It's so ridiculous.
It's good though, isn't it? What a win, Farrell. What a win. That's huge. And let's not just talk about, today and how relieved that felt. That's a massive, massive win in this relegation scrap.
Yeah, exactly. And, I don't think many football fans outside of Fulham were actually thinking that we could actually get something from this game. But as they keep saying, as the pundits keep saying, oh, look at Fulham's run of fixtures. It's a very difficult one. They're probably looking at other games where they might pick up points. And, we go to Liverpool today. I was feeling slightly confident that we did at least get a point out of today. And, I'm just absolutely over the moon that we're able to get 3 points, because that's what we deserved. That's what we've deserved for a long, long time. And I'm just so, so happy for those boys in the changing room and everyone at Fulham Football Club right now.
They weren't very good today. We were very good today, Lids, and I think that's as simple as it was. We basically have gone to Anfield. We've outplayed a Liverpool side, albeit a Liverpool side with 7 changes and who are in a terrible run of form. That can't be ignored. But as I said, in the preview shows, a wounded animal is arguably more dangerous. And the fact that Klopp made all those changes scared me. It was the fact it was like trying to shock this side back into life. And talking to Neil from the Anfield Wrap, he was saying someone at some point is going to get done. They're going to be on the end of a hammering, and all it needs is for the dam to break. And with all the changes, I was like, oh god, Shaqiri's going to score from 30 yards in the first minute, isn't he? And then suddenly we're going to get that Mitrovic is going to be absolutely fuming on the sideline. It was all written, but it wasn't. And Liverpool started okay, but Fulham grew into the game in the first half, got a rightly deserved winner, turned out to be a winner, but goal at the end of the first half. And it felt, although those last 20 minutes were grim, it felt like a reasonable and righteous result, I think.
Yeah, I would say so. I think we, as you say, like, they started quite well, but we never looked like a team who were at the bottom of the table. Like, I genuinely believe that. I think, we were pressing them. We were limiting their opportunities. Every time they had the ball, they looked clueless because we were playing on the front foot. And so often when teams in our position go to the champions, yes, they're in an awful run of form, but they're still the champions. You still don't play for Liverpool Football Club if you're a bad footballer. This is a group of fantastic players, but we went with a game plan, and we are clearly playing for Parker. We're clearly playing for each other, and sometimes you just gives you that little bit extra, and that's exactly what happened today.
How good, Farrell, and I'm going to start going through these comments, was Joachim Andersen?
Unreal. I love him. Not only is he an excellent footballer, he's a brilliant defender. He seems to read the game very, very well. He's quick, he's strong, athletic. He's bloody good looking as well. So I think that he deserves to be in this Fulham team. And I think that he brings a certain amount of calmness to the back. Like, you never really see him that much sort of like being out of position and then having to sort of chase back and recover that often, because he's already won that first ball. I feel like he's a bit different to Tosin in that regard, who loves to sort of defend on the front foot and nip off the striker's toes. And he does that time and time again. Whereas Joachim likes to sort of, he doesn't mind having a player in front of him. He goes, go on, take me on. And then he'll just nab the ball off him. But, that block at the end when we thought for all intents and purposes was going to go across and then one of the strikers was going to tap it in. But wow, what a block. What a block. We're going to look back on that at the end of the season and see it as a momentous moment.
It feels like there's like this outpouring of emotion here. I mean, I can feel it from the three of us just talking about things, and I can see it in the comments. And it's not, just about the fact that there's a result here. It's like, I love my club from Rory Breslin. There's loads. Let's go. Fulham from top 10 from Ted Cole. This, I think, sums it up. Dan Hart, guys, we're actually going to do it. We're going to stay up. And look, this, I guarantee you that'll be clipped up if Fulham do not stay in this division. Someone's gonna have that and be like that. But this is how it feels, right? A result like that gives you so much confidence and belief. And I don't know how many of people watching this, but also the two of you who watched the West Brom Newcastle game, and it was so devoid of life, so devoid of character, so devoid of any sort of intent to go and win that game. And then you look at Fulham going to the Champions League, and Steve Bruce after the game said, "I think we've come here and got a really good point." And now you look at Fulham going, we're going to go to Liverpool and be like, we're going to, we'll face the champions off. We'll play them at their own game. Yes, we dug in for the last 20 minutes, but there was a lot of attacking intent from Fulham, especially in the first half. We've gone there, we've played them off the park and we've won. And I think that's the difference between the teams who are below us and, and in front of us. You look at Newcastle, you look at Burnley, who are scrapping for every single point. And Fulham, who are like, we can take on anyone and win. Now we've got City next. I'm sure that's going to be under construction. But Lids, it feels like at the moment they're not scared of anyone. They're coming into to every game thinking, why not?
Yeah, and that's exactly where you need to be. And I think the last time I was on this was when we beat Everton. I think it was. I can't remember, but it was a victory anyway. And I remember sort of chatting to whoever was on about how there's a completely different mentality to looking behind you and kind of worrying about the teams below you and going and sort of having a target ahead of you. And that's clearly what is happening with Fulham at the minute. They believe that they have whoever it is in their sight, be it Brighton, be it Newcastle, and they are aware that they absolutely can do this. And it's wonderful to see. There was someone put up a photo midweek, and it was after the Sheffield United win, and it was all the guys in the dressing room, and it just looked amazing. Everyone was so happy, and put it up beside this story of an apparent fallout in the Newcastle training ground. And you're like, the difference between these mentalities right now is absolutely brilliant, and that could be what sees us over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like that. Martin Fox here. The scenes at the end are amazing, and that's exactly it, Liz. You nailed it. It feels, Farrell, like this side is playing for each other, it's down for each other. And the commentator mentioned it in the first half, actually. It said, it's a lot of low knees in this side. And that's actually not normally what you fall back on when it comes to this, because at the end of the season, they might not be aware of how much kind of that it means to the club, to the fans, etc., because their livelihood moves on, it changes. But that doesn't feel like what Fulham have. It doesn't feel like the atmosphere in the dressing room has got anything apart from we will lives on the line to keep this side up.
Yeah, and I don't know whether that's Scott Parker himself, but I feel like it's got to be in huge part down to that, because it is so easy to let that happen to the club. I think someone texted before the game, and I think probably actually quite a lot of people text before the game. I think there's a lot of Fulham fans out there thinking that Liverpool are a team to get at. It's going to be an easy win today. And I think I said, or someone else said,
Surely no one thought that. Surely no one looked at it. Look, we're Fulham, right? This is what we do. We lose. We break teams losing runs. If there's a striker who hasn't scored, if there's a name for this Fulham podcast, it's if a striker hasn't scored for 35 games, give him a game against Fulham. But it's not that at the moment.
No. I call that the Leon Best effect. I think what I'd say to that is, like, I don't think Scott Parker would do that. I think considering that the consistent level that this team have been playing for the past 3 months, and also last season. I mean, when you think back at it, yeah, it was a bit of a grind and everything, but we were always playing at the same level every single game, and that was enough to win football matches. And now I feel like we've gone an even step higher than that. And, you know, we're now playing at a level which is just so wonderful to see. And Scott Parker would have, you know, I think that he probably sets his team out and sets a level that, you know, would be if you need to win the game against Liverpool away from home or Burton Albion on a Tuesday night. I think that he doesn't let that kind of slip. The way that Klopp used to be with Liverpool, the way that Pep is at Man City. I mean, there might be, you know, I think there's a long way to go in Scott Parker's career, but he is showing an experience. He's showing experience and level that you would expect from a manager of a great deal more experience than him.
I enjoyed this from Ryan James. Is it too late to join the Scotty Parker in camp? No, Ryan. I think you can just disavow the last one. I think we're all there now. This is a good question from @Fraser and me. Good username here. The dilemma now: who do you put in midfield? And I think this is a good question because Lemina's been outstanding. Reed's probably up there with Areola and Andersen as player of the season for Fulham. But we have Anguissa, who everybody knows is a world-class talent and, you know, an unbelievable footballer, especially in form, and the fact that he can break tackles, etc., etc. But is this the best dilemma in the world for Scott Parker, Liz? Because Anguissa's come out this week, right, and spoken at length about, you know, if Scott Parker says you can win, you feel like you can win. The respect there is obvious. You're seeing Lemina put in his performances. You're seeing Harrison Reed put in his performances. He's got players now that he can bring on, that he can rotate. And in this season where we've seen so many injuries, and we're looking at Liverpool, right? We're looking at the side who have maybe suffered the most from an injury crisis that didn't allow for rotation. And what Scott Parker has at his disposal is players who are willing to die for him, it feels, you know, who are all talented enough to put on that shirt and do a job in midfield.
Yeah, it's a great thing to have, especially considering this season has been so busy. You know, we're playing the same amount of games, but in a far less time in a normal season. And we're constantly having these midweek games. We're constantly, the way we have to play, quite often we aren't, look, I know we do have the ball quite a lot, but quite often when a team's fighting for survival, they are going into every game as the underdog. And that can be quite emotionally draining as well as physically. So it's really important that we can rotate. I think a few people were saying today about how Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Anthony Robinson were dropped. I was like, well, I don't really think they were dropped. I think we were just rotated and getting some fresh legs in. And I think it's really important. And the key here is that, as you mentioned, Jack, is that these players come on and are literally ready to die for Parker. You can't have someone sitting on the bench and being a bit pissed off about it. Well, they could be pissed off that they're on the bench, but not pissed off at anyone. It's more like I really want to play kind of attitude. And we're kind of getting that. I do think the midfield today was probably the best I've seen in a long time. So I'd be quite keen to stick with that for now. But I think being able to have Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Zambo, all these people coming off the bench is a brilliant thing because, you know, Newcastle, Brighton, West Brom, these teams around us do not have that kind of depth.
Yeah, no, I think so. I want to throw it back, Faz, because we're going to talk a little bit about Areola because there's a lot of comments here and 2 or 3 really, really important stops from him today. And as much as that, you know, it's the coming out and punching away a corner. It's the coming out and being like, no, don't worry about that. Claiming crosses, the big moments that you need a keeper to stand up and be like, don't worry, I got it. And every single time Areola pulls through.
Yeah, his experience and calmness at the back is absolutely invaluable to this team. I mean, obviously at the start of the season, we had Marek Rodak, who is going to have a long, successful career. Absolutely. And, you know, it's just unfortunate, but also probably a blessing that he has someone to work alongside at the level of quality in Alphonse Areola. And, you know, you've got 2 keepers that are playing today who are obviously really, really exceptional keepers. But when you actually look at them over the whole game, Alisson flapped at a couple of things, and I can't actually picture a single point when Areola did that. And and to pick out one moment, that volley and save from Hotter was wonderful. I think I heard the commentators say that it was a routine save. I mean, that is just no.
I think he backtracked on it quite quickly. Saw the replay and was like, "Oh no, that's actually an unbelievable stop." And you're like, "Yeah, okay, thank you very much."
Yeah, and he's been doing it week in, week out. I can only really think of one mistake this year, and apart from that, I don't think he's made a mistake since primary school. I think he's been great this season. He's again, the crosses, you can hear him. I mean, there's obviously no crowd, but every single time the ball is even like just left the boot of the person crossing the ball, he's already shouting keeper, so everyone can know the defenders are calm. They don't need to worry about a single thing, because every little thing's going to be all right with Areola, really.
Very good. Daniel Webb here says, if we stay up, I'm getting a Lemina tattoo, which is a big claim, Dan, and I'm gonna probably keep you on this, to be honest, because I mean, to be fair, if we stay up, we're signing Mario Lemina permanently, and in the last couple of weeks, Liz, he's stepped up hugely, hasn't he? He's gone from being, a player who was part of that rotation and actually often switched with Harrison Reed, actually, we'd get to the 60-minute mark and Lemina would be the man to come on for Reed and the other way around in a lot of games. But their partnership and the way that he breaks tackles, and there was a moment, I think, towards the end of the first half before we scored, where he got the ball in midfield and just sort of dropped the shoulder in our own sort of just off the halfway line, but in our own half, skipped past the player and released us down the right-hand side. And it's moments like that, and you just see a real class footballer. And there's a lot of people talk about the fact he started a Champions League final. It's obviously on the Fulhamish commentator bingo card that once he started a Champions League final event. But we're starting to see, I think, not necessarily a player that is Champions League caliber. It wouldn't be so far. There's a big jump from there to here, but we're seeing a player here that is starting to love his football again in a way that I think he didn't at Southampton after that first season, and we're reaping the rewards because of it.
Yeah, I think I see a player who loves playing with his heart on his sleeve, which is the kind of player I love. I love that. I love someone really throwing everything into their game. And he looked absolutely distraught on Thursday night. And it was, let's be honest, the handball was not his fault. It's not like he did something that, we could have been like, oh, for flip's sake, Mario, what are you doing? He looked absolutely devastated. And then he comes in today and I mean, look, I wasn't expecting him to score. He's not top of the list when it comes to goal scorers. But one thing that really stood out for me today was when we had a corner. I think it was in the second half.
It was, yeah. Exactly what you're about to say.
And yeah, they are threatening to go in the break, and he tracked, I think it was Jota back. I mean, the whole pitch. He absolutely bust a gut to get there, and in the end, I think we won the ball, went out for a throw-in or something. And I remember thinking, that is exactly what we need. It's box to box, but not really box to box, but it's the idea that he covers every blade of grass. And at the minute, as you said, it used to be either him or Harrison Reed, but now we have two of them. They're like absolute terriers in there. They must be a disaster to play against, because they're always snapping at your heels. They're always there, and they are willing to sprint 100 yards, probably when it's not really his job to do that. But he does it anyway, because he's absolutely desperate to ensure that he stops an opportunity for Liverpool today. And I just thought he was absolutely brilliant and a breath of fresh air.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and then on top of that, he scored. Though.
What a great finish!
You mentioned the goal. This is that, but I think that's maybe the point, right? You get a goal like that, and often you can let that overshadow a performance, but actually, it's not about that. It's about the fact that the goal was an addition to an incredible performance, not the only thing that you can bring out. And Mario Lemina had a wonderful game from 0 to 90. And the facts are that the goal is just the cherry on that cake. I mean, it's a very important cherry for Fulham today, because there was a lot of opportunities and nothing going in. And for him to hit the winner is very much the cap on that performance.
Yeah, and one thing I also want to pick out from not just Lemina, but also Harrison Reed. Yes, they are terriers, but they stopped Liverpool playing. Liverpool like to sort of expose that gap in between midfield and defence, and get the defence backtracking and then punish you. And there was very, very little of that. I feel like the whole midfield picked their moments to try and disrupt Liverpool. We did see it right at the end of the game that, they had the ball like 40 yards from goal. You would think that if it was like the 10-20 minute mark that they would be trying to snap at them and get the ball away from them. But they thought, no, we need to sit a bit deeper. We don't want to leave gaps in behind us. And both Lemina and Reed were very good at that. You would, if you can go back and see it, but they were just waiting for that one little extra heavy touch, one little pass that wasn't quite on the mark, and then they would get on it, and they were brilliant at it. But obviously they had Mitro, who's not exactly going to stretch defenses in the 95th minute and whatnot. But I think that they did it absolutely expertly, and I think that's not just. We've got a special guest here who wants to get
bring him in.
Maybe
we're all welcome today. Bring him in.
Basically, I have one dog under a blanket, and the other dog didn't realise, so jumped up on top of him. And
now they're all going mad. Here you are. Isaac says the Fulham Terriers. He's not wrong. You could be talking about Harrison Reed and Mary Lemina, or just what's going on Lids' screen.
Just trying to keep the peace.
Well, alongside Zambo and Grisu is going to probably be on the bench for the next game. Although I think that's the first time Zambo and Grisu has not featured at all this season, which is quite an interesting. But now we've got 2 more additions when Lids gets them signed up on a full contract.
Well, they get a little bit distracted, unfortunately. So I'm not sure they would stick to the game plan. But
are they greyhounds?
One's a greyhound. One is something else. Don't really know.
They might be more suited to a winger position.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not happy at all. Yeah.
I just want to talk about this from Andy Belly. He says 4 points off 15. Always believing. Now, I'm not. It's Fulham. I'm not going to suggest Fulham are suddenly going to start walking into 15th spot, because we wouldn't make it that easy, would we, for ourselves? But it's a valid point, because this side, and if you look at the kind of the form of the bottom 5, right? Newcastle have drawn 2, lost 2, won 1 the last 5. Brighton lost 3, drawn 2. Fulham have drawn 2, won 2, and lost 1. And then you look at West Brom, who just seem to be drawing all the time now, and Sheffield United are, God bless them. They're done, they're finished, and I think they'd be the first people to tell you that. But it's one of those things where, yes, we're looking at survival, and survival is, if you survive on goal difference on the final day, that's absolutely fine. We said that would be heaven for us this season. But there's also a point where Brighton are now on the same points as us in a horrible losing streak that they just can't seem to shake. Newcastle are a point above us with an awful goal difference, and a side that are actually fighting themselves on the training fields. And you look at them, Burnley, who have played the same games as us. They're 4 points clear. They've drawn 4 of their last 5, but feel like they can't buy a win. And with the kind of attitude that Fulham have, now we go play City next. So, it's not going to be next weekend. But once that's out of the way, there's games there you think, why not? Why not? And that's not me saying that I think we're going to go and wander in and massacre Leeds, or we're going to go and wallop Wolves. But there are games that now that, and it goes back to what we said at the start, City aside, maybe, this Fulham team feels like it can beat anyone that's.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about what Parker's done at the minute. At the start of the season, I remember he made some comment that really bugged me, and it was, it was factually correct, but it still frustrated me. He said that we're going to lose more games than we'll win this season. But don't get me wrong, he's right. A team who goes up in the playoffs aren't expecting to win the majority of their matches in the Premier League. But what kind of bugged me about it was that it was very sort of blasé. It was very, we're not. But it seems to have kind of turned on its head now, and it's that, well, actually, it's been a long time since we've been in a match that we haven't actually been competitive. And I'm not saying that we have been absolutely fantastic. I mean, we haven't. We're where we are for a reason. But I do think that there are very few teams have been able to walk all over us this year, particularly since those first 6 games. So kind of, if we take those off the table, I mean, how many games have we lost by more than one goal? Not very many. How many games have we been winning at one stage? You know, these are really important things that Scott will be telling his team constantly. We finally have some sort of formula that means that no matter who we're playing, we're going to at least be competitive. Might not win, but we're going to be competitive, and that's hugely important for a team in anywhere in the league. Never mind trying to achieve safety.
100%. I think that's the spot on first.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're a much different team than quite a lot of teams in this league. That, you know, I touched on it before about how consistent we are, and Lydia's quite right that very, very few teams since those first 6 games have actually, you know, walked all over us or anything like that. The only one that I can really think of is that Brighton game where we hung on for dear life, and then Ruben Loftus-Cheek probably should have got the points right at the death. And then the Leicester game, yeah, they were very good, and we deserved to lose that game. But was it a 3-4-0 kind of game? No, I don't think so. Even when that Man City game in the reverse fixture, it was 2-0 early doors, but for the rest of the game, it was an absolute dull as dishwater game.
There was a comment from the commentator earlier who was like, Fulham will feel a bit aggrieved to have not got more than a loss at City. Yeah, and I was like, I don't think we did.
Like,
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think that might be a bit much. Like, look, I'd love to be optimistic about that game, but it felt like that game was done and dusted from the 13th minute, and then we were like, right, okay, cool, cheers.
Yeah, exactly. And then we were just like, okay, let's see what we can do. Let's just shut up shop and let's not make it
concede anymore. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that even from back then, which does seem like not that long ago, but I feel like on Wednesday, and I'm not saying that, you know, we're going to go there and I feel like we should get at least a point or anything like that. But again, it's going to be competitive. I mean, you know, you saw City against when they beat West Ham, and West Ham are one of the better teams in this league so far. And, you know, obviously we should have beaten them when we played them at home about a month ago. But Man City blew them away. They got a lucky goal, but then the game finished 4-1. I don't think it's going to be like that on Wednesday. I think at least, you know, we're going to make it competitive. They're going to be in a hard game.
United have just gone 1-0 up at City.
We're going to win the game. We're going to win the game 2-3-0. Mitro's going to start and is absolutely going to show Stones, Diaz, how it's done. Basically, they're not going to give them an easy ride. I think Man City are the only team in 2021 who've got more clean sheets than us. I think Fulham have got something like 4 or 5 clean sheets already this calendar year, which is it's absolute. I mean, for all the Fulham fans who are watching right now, you can feel how ridiculous that sounds, especially as Fulham in the Premier League have got this many clean sheets at this stage of the season. It's ridiculous. This is a whole new Fulham. I don't care all those people that say, I want my Fulham back. I'm quite happy with this Fulham. This is a great Fulham team. I love it. No more, I want my Fulham back. This is wonderful. Long may it continue.
This is the Fulham I want. Liz, you've got a fan here, the cherry on top. So with this full-time live with Lydia Farrell and commentary. It's been a look. I wasn't going to bring it up because obviously it's a bullet through my own heart, but a day for you, Lydia. One day for you.
Yeah, not bad at all as days go, and I've had a lot of bad sporting weekends this year, but this pretty good. Rangers winning number 55. I know some people might dispute that, but I don't care. 55 titles, and then Fulham go and do a job on Liverpool. And do you know what? I genuinely believed it was going to happen like that. I don't know. You know the way sometimes you just get a feeling. And I think, as you were saying earlier, you just believe that we're going to beat Liverpool today. Like, I genuinely was like, you know what? Rangers are going to win the league and Fulham are going to beat Liverpool. I fully believe that's going to happen, and it did. So what a day! And I think we're all due a bit. Well, Jack, I know you don't feel like that it's a good thing.
I'd like to just distance. I'd like to publicly distance myself from this in case I have family. I'm never going to be able to go home again, Lids. This is the problem.
Yeah, I know it is. It's a bad day for you, I'm afraid. But at some stage, Celtic might be competitive again, but we'll see.
I'm no longer glad I gave you. I wanted to give you your minute in the sun. I'm no longer glad I gave you a minute in the sun.
Look, it's all good. We can just focus on Fulham instead. It's grand. Best team in the league.
100%. And huge win first before we shut this down.
Yeah, wonderful win. Definitely one of my standout memories of Fulham's Premier League tenure over since 2001. I think it's up there with one of the best. I mean, yeah, Liverpool are wounded and they were on a poor run of form, but we went there, we dominated them, deserved the win. Up the Fulham.
Up the Fulham, indeed. I'm going to take this to myself as a repose to Lid's happiness. I will take that. Thank you very much to AF to bring that up. Look, it's been a brilliant win, a brilliant day for Fulham, going to the Anfield of dreams and taking all 3 points. But all that's left for me to do. So thank you very much, Lydia Campbell.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Farrell Monk.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everyone. I certainly am.
I've been Jack Collins. This has been Full-Time Live. Thank you for watching and tuning in. And we go to City with our tails up. Why not? Why not? See you later, you whites.